When you get a stain on a sail, the immediate response might be to hit it with some soap and scrub it like crazy. But that's not always the right answer. Sometimes a more scientific approach is much better. Let's have a look. I was looking at this Practical Sailor article, the link's in the description, where Drew studies the cleaning of laminate sails in a very scientific way. And while this is about laminate sails, us Dacron folks can learn a lot here. He says it can be a rust stain caused by a loop of chain that spent the winter lying on the sail, or perhaps a bird crawled under the sail cover and built a nest. This has happened to me, pooping on the sail for weeks before I noticed. Either way, cleaning a laminated sail in this case presents a particularly vexing problem, since mildew likes the adhesive that bonds the material of the sail, resulting in a stain that's sealed between waterproof layers. Some of these just look bad, like rust stains, but others can slowly weaken a sail, mildew in the laminate adhesive, for example. But in all cases, overly aggressively cleaning it can make things even worse, weakening the sail more than the mildew ever would have by itself. Stains can be removed from sails in three general ways. They can be physically removed, dissolved, or bleached or made invisible. Each requires different chemistry and a different mindset, so it's helpful to understand the stain that you have on your sail. I noted, of course, Drew's talking about laminates, but the logic applies to Dacron. The first of three ways to remove a stain: physical removal, which requires the bond of the stain with the sail material be broken. In the case of mildew and algae, this requires that the organism be killed and for some time to pass. Borax, oxygen bleach, and chlorine bleach are all effective if given a soaking period. The required dose is not very high, so more is not always better. Sunlight works on mildew, though very similar looking black algae is not killed by sunlight. So knowing what's growing on your sail is important. For me, if sunlight doesn't kill it, I'll jump to borax and soak it. Surfactants, including both organic soaps and detergents, and inorganic, such as Trisodium Phosphate, TSP, baking sodas, and borax, help by breaking the static bonds and emulsifying grease. Again, soaking time helps, followed by gentle agitation. For more effective and less damaging, a little light work with a brush with the sail laid on a non-abrasive surface also works. But remember that stains that are between laminate layers or deep in the seam won't be helped by any amount of scrubbing. Let's talk about surfactants. Surfactants are a primary component of cleaning detergents. The word surfactant means it's a surface active agent. As the name implies, surfactants stir up activity on the surface you're cleaning to help trap the dirt and remove it from the surface. It's like washing your hands, and all the bubbles make it possible for the dirt to separate from your skin. Surfactants include both organic soaps and detergents, and inorganics like trisodium phosphate, TSP, baking sodas, and of course borax. We love borax on boats. They help by breaking the static bonds and emulsifying any grease. So soaking time helps, followed by a little bit of agitation. The second way to remove a stain is by dissolving it. Dissolving works best on rust or corrosion caused by metal. The trick is to reduce the pH of the stain enough to dissolve the metal oxide without damaging the cloth of the sail. Nylon is vulnerable to strong acids, literally dissolving before your eyes if it gets touched with battery acid, so nothing with a pH of less than 3 should ever be used. Polyester and other fabrics are less vulnerable, but we like to keep the pH above 3 because nylon thread can always sneak in. It is always better to soak for longer than using better chemicals. I'll say that again, soak longer in weaker chemicals instead of soaking for a shorter amount of time in stronger stuff, since the cloth is not affected by soaking times at a safe pH, but the stain will slowly vanish over time. The third way to remove a stain is bleaching, the act of literally making the stain invisible. Bleaching is a reaction where the reactive chemical, in many cases chlorine bleach or peroxide radical in the case of oxygen bleaches, changes the chemical structure of the stain to where it no longer absorbs light, which gives it its color. Often the contamination remains in place, but you simply can't see it. While Dacron holds up to mild doses of bleach, spinnakers and light air sails made of nylon are particularly vulnerable. If you expose Kevlar or nylon to bleach, Say you decide to rinse the sails in an ordinary swimming pool, which we do with our Dacron sails sometimes, they can lose up to 90% of their original strength. Our own recommendation is to use an oxygen bleach like Oxiclean, which also works well with rope if you have dirty line. These types of bleaches generate an uncharged radical that can permeate through the stain faster than liquid bleach in most cases. Also, these oxygen bleaches are less aggressive to the fabric than other types. After spot cleaning and soaking, be sure to rinse thoroughly and allow the sail to dry in the sun. Often, this is the last bit, the exposure to the sun, that does the final whitening. It seems that the oxygen bleach weakens enough bonds that a half day in the sun can often finish the job to perfection. They need drying time anyway, and the sun will safely do that. If you prefer an off-the-shelf mildew cleaner for spot treatment, Starbright's Canvas and Sail Cleaner performed well in all of our testing. When you're finished cleaning, always rinse the sail liberally with fresh water. And if you hang your sails to dry, do so when it's not windy. If a sail is left to flog or flutter, you can do more harm than good. Remember, sails are composed of fibers, and the more back and forth bending those fibers have to endure, the more quickly they'll lose their strength. Because stains vary, there is no one-size-fits-all solution. For rust stains, we like CLR, diluted 20:1 with fresh water. Soak for up to 15 minutes and then rinse. For surface dirt on polyester sails and canvas, we like Formula B. This is a homemade concoction Drew came up with. It kills mildew and leaves an inhibiting residue. The formula is 1 quart of hot water, 2 tablespoons of baking soda, 2 tablespoons of borax, I told you we love borax, and 1 tablespoon of TSP cleaner, Trisodium Phosphate. For mildew and algae stains, we like all of the oxygen bleach products such as Oxiclean. So how do we clean the sails? A machine, or do we soak them, or do we scrub? Well, a machine is always wrong, so no matter how gentle, a cycle is surely the equivalent of dozens of hours of flogging and is sure to break down the resins, fatiguing Kevlar sails and separate laminates. Some services use floor scrubbers to clean sails, not much different from a carpet cleaner with the vacuum turned all the way down. They save time, but they can damage the glue on your sail numbers or your telltales. You can do the same by hand, it just takes longer. And you may need to do it by hand anyway for the smaller spots. But you should obviously be gentle. Worst of all, the chemical doesn't have time to work when you use a machine. Finally, there's soaking. This obviously takes time, but if your chemicals are properly selected and diluted, soaking is harmless to the cloth of the sail, but very effective against stains. First, rinse the sail and examine it for wear. Then spot treat it for rust or grease. Then soak it in oxygen bleach. This is a required step for mildew and brightening. Because the simplest way to dry a sail after you're done cleaning it is to hoist it, we suggest not cleaning the sails while the boat's still in storage, but rather when they can be put back on the boat right away after you clean them. Alternatively, you may have a dry place to hang and drape the sails. Putting a sail away wet is an excellent way to restart the whole mildew process. What have you had luck with your sails? Have you thrown them in a swimming pool? What happened when you did? Also, we're looking for writers. We have some great ones already, but we need a few more. People knowledgeable about sailing and sailboats. To apply, go to practical-sailor.com/apply. There's lots of money to be made writing articles to help other sailors. We'll see you next time.